What is going on, DGen Nation? Kenny Kim here, bringing you another Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast this week for the farmers. As usual, I am here with everybody's favorite Canadian, Tyler Tamboline. Tyler, what is up, my friend?
What's going on? Happy to be back. As always, we had a fun one this past week. Could have been a little better, but I can't complain. I had a pretty good weekend overall. It was still a lot of fun out there. We'll get to all that and more. Nick Dunlapping the field is the common one going around on X right now. It was awesome to see. He did not end up lapping the field in the end of it. He ended up getting the job done, though, by one. Awesome to see an amateur take it down. A fun little tidbit. You know, I like to research stuff. I'll give that in a little bit here when we do the review. But before we get into it, I want to remind everyone very quickly, this show is brought to you and presented by ShipItNation.com. Go over to ShipItNation.com. Check out everything we've got going on over there. I do want to note, I won't go through the whole spiel on this one, but just to let you know, the introductory PGA-only pricing ends at lock. We've got an early week. Kenny will break all that down in a second, but right now you can use the code PGA10 or Mayo, get 10% off your first payment of monthly or season. That's on top of the current introductory pricing. It'll still exist when it goes up. You'll just pay more. It was another amazing week over at ShipItNation.com. You can go to X at ShipItNation. There's a whole thread to break it all down for you guys. It's the third straight week in a row. Members have just been absolutely crushing. Kenny, what's going on, man? What was your take on the event yesterday?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, over at Gupp's Corner, I know Gupp was hitting some major bets out there, so we both had some pretty good weeks. I know for me, we did exactly what we're supposed to do, Tambo. You're out there running the GPP streets. So I'll tell you right now, Tambo was in a four-man. In the four-man with me, Tambo, the listener league winner from last week, and the guy I picked from the YouTube, from the YouTube comments. We're doing a YouTube comments again. Pick your winner. Put it on the YouTube comments. If you pick the right winner, I'll scoop you out. You'll get us in a four-man. And if you win, if you beat all three of us, including the Listener League winner, you get to go to our Tournament of Champions in next January. So, Tambo, I was looking at his lineup, and my lineup sucks. It was hilarious because my cash lineup, which I only make 2 handwritten lineups a week. The first one's my cash lineup. The second one is the lineup I put in all the listener leagues and the four-man. So the cash lineup last week was great. It was a great week in cash. Top 5% in every single double up. Really no sweat at all. Burns finished 6th, which should have been a lot better. Eric Cole was great. Whoever else I had was money. It was a great week. Okay. But I'm looking at, but then in my four-man is the other handwritten lineup, my worst lineup of the week. So I had the best lineup of the week. It's actually one. It was even in GPPs. It was my best lineup, my cash lineup, and my worst lineup of the week were the 2 handwritten ones. But anyways, in the four-man, I'm looking at Tambo's score, and it's like 793 points. He's beating me by like 285 points with like 9 holes left. I'm like, this guy is about to fucking win all the fucking GPPs out here. We're going to have the greatest week. Tambo GPP ship, me cash lineup, fucking legit. And tell him what happened, Tambo. What the fuck happened?
Oh, it's a lesson in golf. You know what it is? We talk about it all the time. Nobody cares work harder, but just to break it down, it was simple. Burns and Siwoo in the same lineup. I mean, you were looking at having 9 holes left. I had people texting me congrats with like 5 holes left. And I was like,
you were like 50 points up.
Yeah, I think it was 40 points up. Yeah. And the way it ended, the guy, shout out to my dude, Donkasaurus, really good dude, met him a couple times, great DFS player too, went on to win everything. But, he had like Bez and X and JT pulling up, and those guys just start going on. I think he had he almost had the perfect lineup minus Dunlap. It wasn't quite, but it was the top end lineup, won everything. But once that happened, I was like, okay, but like, didn't have to double down on me at the same time. Freaking Siwoo goes quad, bogey, double, I think, to end his day. Burns goes double to end it. And what was sick was, okay, I was losing 10 to 15K in the 254 max that I lose out on, but Donkasaurus was going to get me anyway. So it was like, okay, I'll lose 10K. No, I lose another 5K because that happens. And then the 2 Fantasy Golf World Championship seats, which is just funny, is what it is. The one that there was one that I actually could have still won. Like, he pulled away and the other one. I was good. I'm good with that one too. It happens. The other one, though, I just need a par from Sam Burns on 18. He went in the water on 17. He messed it all up. I was like, he can't do that again. Yep, he can do that again. So it's never over till it's over. You have to know that. That's PGA DFS. Just like it's not over when your top-owned guy makes a bogey on Thursday morning. You don't need to tilt it. You don't know what's going to happen till the end. But it was nice I had a good NFL weekend. Saturday shipped the main Showdown GPP at a 4-way chop, so that was nice. Still made a bunch of money yesterday. It just could have been a lot more. It could have been some consolation prize. I did go out for the contest. I have to let people know I did go out in 20. It didn't get the job done in the King of the Desert. That was another bit of tilt there because I had Cantlay, Jaeger, and who was the other guy? Oh, Cole.
Cantlay shit the bed.
Yeah, Cantlay went the complete opposite direction, and everyone had Scheffler. I got away with it all week till the last day. I ended up missing by 17.5 points from the top 15 to move on. So congrats to everyone in that moved on. It was still awesome. I'll be down there in Phoenix, excited for that week at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. It's going to be a great time.
Tam, I'm going to blame you because I thought we were going to have the best week. Tam ships a GBP. My cash line, I'm strong. That's how we do with the Degen Nation. But still, great week for Tambo. Great week for me. Hopefully we repeat this. Now, again, let's talk about this event that we saw this past week. What stones from a 20-year-old? When I was 20 years old as a sophomore in college, I was doing a lot of drugs and mostly X. I remember triple stack Mitsubishis. I was going to a lot of raves when I was 20 years old.
Mitsubishi.
I was going to a shit ton of raves, just killing my brain with brain cell deafness ecstasy. And that's what I was doing when I was 20, basically every weekend. That's how I lived my life. This guy out here coming out, just bawling, getting like a 4-stroke lead, and you think, okay, there's no way this fucking amateur is going to hold on to it. And it looked like he wasn't going to do it, right? I mean, the front 9, he doubles, 7 or 8. He loses his first place, doesn't birdie again until like 15 or 16, but makes all pars up until then. And, while everybody was imploding around him on the last 4 or 5 holes of the event, this guy was just par, birdie when he has to, birdie when he has to, and then that up and down on 18, because he got a little bit lucky for that ball to roll down off the dormant grass. I mean, he could have had a real shitty lie. If he has to hit that up in the air, it makes that shot a lot more difficult. You want to get that ball on the ground as soon as possible. Just let it roll, just like he did. It was a perfect chip. I mean, it went by about 5 or 6 feet, but still, great chip from where he was to give him a real legit shot at the par. Now, 5-6 footer for par to win an event at 20 years old. I mean, that's stones right there. He hit that shit right in the heart. Like, I was like, he's going to miss this. Bez is going to win in the playoff. This is going to be like sort of a Tom Watson, Stu Cink type deal where everyone's going to be pissed off at Bezuidenhout, right? For him coming in. But dude made that putt. This guy, he's won U.S. amateur. He's won U.S. junior amateur. The guy is a stud. He's going to be a stud. Good for him. And the event itself, it's really not anyone's favorite event. Fucking Birdie Fest, which anybody can win. And we saw anybody can win this guy, even a 20-year-old sophomore in college who's not even a pro. Doesn't even get his money. $1.5 million. Bezuidenhout hyped. Get that first place money for Bezuidenhout. But yeah, it's pretty miraculous stuff. First time since 1991, of course, the last amateur to win an event was Phil Mickelson. Pretty good, person to judge yourself by, even though people hate his ass now, but still, hell of a player. I'm looking forward to this guy playing a lot more. And, there's a lot of these young guys that are pretty fucking good, like that Rico Hoey guy. He's pretty fucking good. Supposedly one of the best drivers of the golf ball on the Korn Ferry Tour. These young boys, it's a good thing. I think it was great to have this college guy and this story. If this didn't happen during the playoffs, NFL playoffs, it would have been a much bigger story. Would have caught more mainstream media. But you're playing against the NFL. You're not going to get shit down at this point in time. But kudos to him. And it was great for the PGA because, of course, everyone, including myself, is worried about all this talent leaving the tour, and everyone, and people are in the background saying, "Oh, there's a lot of young guys. There's a lot of young guys." Yeah, but can any of them really match up to these guys? We don't know what their ceiling is, what their floor is for all these young guys. Well, we know what the ceiling is for this guy. He's a fucking winner, right? Stone cold winner. He's going to have a big name on tour. He's going to be popular. Great for the PGA. I was happy this weekend. It was nice. What'd you think of the event?
Yeah, very solid. Nick Dunlap, solid dude. We talked on the preview show about him, David Ford, and Sargent, the three. They were the 2023 Eisenhower champs and part of that crew. And so waiting on Ford now. Sure, that'll be something when he, comes out again and we see him. And then you've got Sargent, who we all followed around the Masters last year, and then as one of the amateurs for Low Am, and it ended up being Sam Bennett, right, who ended up coming through. And we all had the meme going of the guy with his girlfriend and then looking back, and Sargent was up here and Sam Bennett was back there. It was like that was the setup of it, but it was, still crazy. I mean, an amateur to go out and win like this. The thing I was talking about earlier about Dunlap being the first amateur since Phil Mickelson winning, but they didn't include Phil Mickelson in any of that stuff. They just kept saying since 1991 and back in this and all this timing, and they would never put him in there. But
that's just getting super petty, dude.
Of course.
That's just getting so
But listen to this. Bro. This is crazy. So if those that don't know, we're recording this pod and it's already out. Dunlap withdrew today from this event. So he was in it. DraftKings priced him at $7,600. It would have been a fun talking point. He decided to withdraw. He's going to go back, sit with family, friends, back to Alabama. He
partying, dog. He partying, and he's banging some Alabama hotties.
I think he's just going to go pro. I'm going to get to that in a second. Then get your take, because there's stipulations, things that all.
I have a take on that, on what he should do. Yeah, go ahead.
That's what we'll see. So either way, the interesting part was when Phil won in 1991. I don't know how I went down this rabbit hole, but Phil won January 13th. It's like a week before this dude won this time of the year. But it gets crazier is you go down the rabbit hole further. I guess I was trying to see when Phil went pro after that, what did he do? I went and looked what was Phil's first win as a pro, because we'll talk about that in a second with Dunlap, what he does now, where he goes, does he go pro right away, what's happening? But basically, I looked it up, and Phil's first win at Torrey Pines, that would have been interesting. What if Dunlap just goes pro last night, comes on out this week and plays in the event and tries to go back-to-back and get the same spot win that Phil got? I just thought that was crazy just to see it shape out. Maybe it'll be this time next year when we see it. But what was your take on Dunlap and going pro and everything?
Okay, so you're a sophomore in college. You're going to Tuscaloosa. You're in Alabama. There are plenty of beautiful women that go to the University of Alabama. So what I would do is, since I just won a PGA Tour event, I would go and finish this year of school and just bang as many freaking Bama girls as possible.
His girlfriend was there, Kenny.
What?
His girlfriend.
Well, his girlfriend should not be his girlfriend anymore, basically, is what I'm saying. Come on, man. You just won a PGA Tour event. Okay? Be like, unless she's like the hottie of hotties, which maybe she is. Maybe she is. You gotta use that to your advantage. You got leverage right there in college. You know what I'm saying? You're like, hey, I just won a PGA Tour event. I beat fucking Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, fucking Scotty Scheffler. I'm gonna make billions on the PGA Tour. Come suck my pee-pee. Basically, that's what that's basically what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? If I was him, that is what I would do.
You want him to basically be Tiger Woods and bang.
I would basically be 50-50 to catch an STD. Basically, is what it comes down to. If I had won that, 50-50 to catch an STD, and I would love it. Go back to school, finish this year, because he has to turn pro this year. If he does not turn pro this year, then in 2 years he doesn't get it. So just finish off this year. Play your golf, and then in July, come join the tour. You know what I'm saying? Just bang as many Bama girls as you can, and then, come back and be on tour and do your thing. That's what I would do.
Alabama is going to be the title to this. Alabama, Dunlap or something. We'll get to the title after we record. But I will say this. I looked into it a little bit further. It's not a hot take. I think people caught on to this one already, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be, he's taking this week off, figuring out how he's announcing it, and it's going to be the AT&T Pebble Beach Am Pro. I know it's a Pro-Am, but Am goes to Pro. It's a signature event. He can get in all the signature events. Like Michael Kim said, why would this guy be going back looking for nil money when he could come up rocking Alabama gear and getting shit, when he can be getting signed up with every brand going right now and being out?
Number one thing would be
events on TV.
I think as of now, he's in all four majors because of his amateur status. If he turned pro, he'd still get to go to Augusta because of his win. I think he'd still get to go to the U.S. Open because he won the U.S. Am. but I don't think you get into the PGA. I don't think you get into the Open Championship. So if he turns pro now, he risks the chance of not making the PGA Championship and not making the Open Championship. As of now, I think he's in all four as an amateur. So, I mean, I would probably go to. I don't think that's going to stop me from turning pro. I think the one thing that would stop me from turning pro is trying to bang all these girls. But other than that, I don't think there's going to be anything that would stop me. I'm sure he'd come out and do it at some point in time. If I was him, I mean, finish college, bro.
No, but that's what's
not
those
college.
Finish
events, this year of college.
Those signature events expire. You don't take them. You have to play in those. Like I would be baffled if he doesn't come back next week as a pro. Like that's, you know what I mean, at Pebble Beach, because that's the first of the remaining signature events. Get in that field. Start
automatic money, no cut. Yeah, you're probably right.
Huge cash out of the gates. Yeah. Like, why you won on the tour already? You know you were going to the tour. What are you waiting for? The banging thing is funny, but it's at the same time he has the girl. Like, I don't see a situation where he doesn't just go pro right away and then just move on from there. And then he gets in a bunch of other. I mean, he'll find his way into other stuff if he plays good anyway. But he's already got the Masters, the U.S. Open stuff, like he talked about. So I think we see him go pro right away, pretty much. I think that's what the week off is for, is just to double check everything, cross his T's, dot his I's, and then make the announcement and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. I mean, again, we haven't seen anything like this in over 30 years. So, I mean, who knows what he's going to do, you know? So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Pretty unbelievable. Really stones for this guy. It was impressive.
Wait. Impressive. I have to tell you this quickly because we already talked about that. His exemptions to the Masters and the Open Championship are tied to him remaining an amateur, though his win Sunday makes him exempt for the Masters and PGA Championship, regardless of his status.
The only one he misses the Open.
Because the U.S. Open allows the U.S. Amateur Champion. This is a wild scenario of how many things he has in his favor. It's like guys going to live that already have the majors locked down. The U.S. Open allows U.S. Amateur Champion to play in the tournament, even if they turn pro. So he's in very good shape. Like, I don't see it. I'm going to stand with my original.
This guy's going to be a name that we know for a while. Yeah. I would expect. Now, the funny thing is, like, okay, so we've seen all these large numbers, like these huge underdogs, go out and win these events. You know, I mean, Kirk was 100-1. Grayson was 500-1. This guy was 400-1. Which I find hilarious that Grayson was 500-1. This guy was 400-1 in an event to win. I just thought that was funny. Yeah. But it's been a while. Also, dry January, still happening. The guy's 20 years old, not legally able to drink.
And Endicott's in the field this week if you want to double down on that.
Yeah. So Endicott's back in. Endicott played pretty fucking good last week too. I think they're like top 20, right? Top 25, pretty solid. Maybe we should stop fucking drinking. I don't know. We'll see, because these guys are fucking balling with no booze, and I like it. Mad respect. All right, so let's move on. Anything else we want to talk about in this event?
No, Listener League is good. We can talk about that.
All right, so let's talk about the Listener League for this week. The winner, J2 Kane. It looks like his avatar is a loaf of bread with some type of insignia on the front. I could be wrong. J2 Kane, let us know what your avatar is in the comments. He had a really, really solid lineup. He had 756.5 points. Beat me by almost 300 points in the Listener League. So he had Schauffele, 11%. I was really surprised that Xander was so low owned last week. Definitely a little shocking. If I had known, I figured he was going to be 15 to 18%. 11%. I mean, and that was throughout the board, like all the tournaments. He was around like 9 to 12%. But of course, he finished in third place, really solid. Adam Hadwin, of course, history buff. He finished in I think 6th place. Putnam was in my cast lineup. He scored pretty well, over 100 points at least, even though he finished 47th. He was 12% owned. Jaeger, anytime Jaeger's under 8K, I'm just going to put him in my cast lineup. It just seems like it's natural. And I know I talked a lot of shit about him, but if he's a $7,000 golfer, he's going to go out there and finish with like 100-some points every time and, make all these birdies. I mean, you might as well fucking roster him when he's that fucking cheap. He was 19% owned. Ben Griffin, who had a really, really solid week. He was sort of like the play. Solid 12% owned in the listener league. He had 125 points, and he had the winner of the prize money, Christian Bazine, who finished in second, of course, but got the first place money at 28 under par. What do you think of the lineup?
Yeah, very solid. I like the setup of it, the 10, 8, 8, 777s. That's an interesting one last week when there was a lot of guys up in the 10. So first of all, he pivoted up in the 10K range. People were playing Scheffler, or they were playing, who's the other guy up there? Cantlay. Or then you could drop down to like Sung Jae and guys like Tom Kim at 99. Like there was just so many guys you could go to. So to move up to Xander in that range and then drop to the 8s, gets rid of that FOMO. We always talk about you got to take on some risk. The rest of the plays were all owned. This is where like people think it's all about 5% owned plays and find this 1% owned diamond in the rough. Like I was talking about, he had 7% Bez, who was his lowest owned, but 10, 18, 12, 18, 12. There was ownership all across that lineup, but it was just pretty spread out. The product ownership was lower because it doesn't really have anyone super high in general, but 18, 18, 12, 12, 11, and 7 is kind of the breakdown of it, and it worked out. So congrats to J2 Kane. Shout out to my guy Totag and Tambo in 4th. Best ever best ever finish at in the FGD Listener League ever. I was thinking of my King of the Desert. I was I wish I had this lineup in the King of the Desert is what I was going to say.
Yeah, would have crushed.
Would have crushed. And shout out to my dude N West 7 in 5th place there, rocking the Ship It logo. But yeah, J2 Kane will join us in the 4-man this week. And then who's the winner? Since no winner again. No
one picked Nick Dunlap in the comments. So once again, go out there on the YouTube page, put in who you think is going to win, and we will pick one of you to join us in the 4-man. And that person this week is DraftKings Slayer. That is his DK handle. He is at Matt Knoll on X. So you are a winner. He picked Xander, who finished in 3rd. So we're going to go ahead and pick him. He's going to join our 4-man. Now, you got to win the 4-man to get into the Tournament of Champions. So Timmy Katz last week did not beat Tambo. No one would have beaten Tambo last week. I think he might have come in 2nd, but that does not get you into the Tournament of Champions. So let's see if DraftKings Slayer can get in for this upcoming week. So we have a make sure you join our listener league this week. It is going to be a Wednesday start. So Wednesday around 10 o'clock probably is going to be lock. So make sure you get into our listener league before, only 500 spots. It should probably fill by Tuesday mid-afternoon. So get in as soon as you can. All right. So let's get to this week, and let's get to the course, the PGA Tour. It's in La Jolla. Is it La Jolla? I guess it's La Jolla, California this week for the Farmers Insurance Open. The Farmers played on Torrey Pines North and Torrey Pines South. Golfers will play both courses on Thursday and Friday. And if they make the cut, it's all South on the weekends. Now, even though the North course went through some renovations like 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, it's still by far the easier of the two courses. No golfer has shot over par on the North course and won here since 1983. So you got to do well on the North course. And I think the big thing for the North course is par 5 scoring. You got to get those par 5s in. Those are the easiest 4 holes you will see on the whole 72 holes this week. So you got to score on those 4 par 5s on the North course to contend this week. You got to be under par minimum, and normally you got to have a pretty good score. I mean, if you look at Brandt Snedeker a few years ago, I think he shot like 63 or something on the North course, right? And then I think he was like even on the South course for the rest of the week, and he won. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, North course, very, 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 very important. So some little tidbits here. We're going based on trying to do the Tambo tidbits, Kenny's tidbits here. 12 of the last 14 winners at Torrey Pines had a previous top 10 at this event. 40% of all winners here all time have had some type of California connection, either growing up, living in California, or going to school in California. That makes a lot of sense because you see these Poanua greens. This is, I think, the only course on tour where you see pure Poanua greens. All the other Poanua greens that you see on tour are blended. with something else. And these greens, very hard to putt on. One of the most difficult that you can putt on. So, it worries me. So, having that California connection, being used to playing on this type of pole, I think makes a pretty big difference. So I think that's where you get a lot of that California connection from people being comfortable putting on these greens. Now, last one is going to be 8 of the past 9 winners have played an event in the calendar year prior to their win at the Farmers. I think the only person that didn't was Justin Rose when he won a few years back. He didn't play the Century. He didn't play the Sony. He came here and won in his first PGA event of the calendar year. Everybody else has played either Sony or Century at some point before their win. Now let's get to these courses. North Course, it's only going to be one round. 7250 yard par 72, 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s. Par 5s all reachable by most golfers. There's also a drivable par 4. Those 5 holes, you got to basically birdie all. You got birdie all 5 of those. You really, to be in contention, to have a good enough score, I guess you don't have to, but it really, really, really helps. Getting that good score on the North Course. Time Ice Golf redesigned the course in 2016, like I was talking about, added length, widened the fairways, removed bunkers, enlarged the greens. Off the tee, golfers are going to see average-sized fairways, thickish rough. There's a few trees and fairway bunkers to worry about, but much less than the South Course. On approach shots, golfers are going to see average to large-sized greens, bunkers guarding most putting surfaces. The greens use bent grass on this side of the Torrey, with a stip meter rating of around 12. Now, the South Course of Torrey Pines, of course, is a behemoth. 7,700 plus yard, par 72, 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s. Par 5s are lengthy, all over, they average around 590 yards per par 5. So only you got to be really pretty long to get to these fairways, to get to these greens in 2. This course is one of the hardest on tour, plays 3 to 4 strokes more difficult on average than the North Course. Off the tee, golfers are going to see narrow, tree-lined fairways with plenty of bunkers to dodge. Only around 50% of fairways are hit on this course year in and year out. The rough around the fairways is brutal, except, expect the peculiar rough to be minimum 2.5 inches tall and gnarly. Now, last year, the rough was closer to 3.5 inches tall. I think mostly due because they had a really, really soaked month of rain before the event took place. So I think that's why the rough was a little bit thicker and a little bit taller than normal. Now, the thing about this is, on this course, 50%, less than 50% fairways hit, right? So you would expect people that can, bomb it out there. That's sort of what we're looking for. But if you look at some numbers here, and I'll go over this here in a little bit, but it might not be what you think. Also, this course, one of the hardest, not too crazy difficult from the rough, onto these greens. I mean, it does make it more difficult, but for a course that like this, like a major course, you would expect it, if you hit into the rough, to be like really low level chance of being successful on a hole. But that's not necessarily the case. I think it's because of the Kikuyu rough, a little bit of rollout. And I think that's why you're going to see that. But let's keep moving on with the course. Now, the fairways don't necessarily have to be hit to succeed here. Leishman was, he won years ago. He was almost dead fucking last in driving accuracy. Over the years, accurate golfers have finished top 10 and bombers have finished top 10. For example, 3 years ago, 3 golfers in the top 20 in driving accuracy at Torrey finished top 10. And 3 golfers in the top 20 in driving distance at Torrey finished top 10 that year. The year before that, 5 golfers that finished top 20 in driving accuracy finished top 10, while 6 golfers that finished top 20 in driving distance finished top 10. So, you either got to hit it far or you got to hit as many fairways as possible, basically is what it comes down to. Or you have to be really good from 150 and out from the rough. Like, I know couple of guys that are really good. Luke List is really good at that. I know Bramlett is really good at that from 150 on from the rough. So you can find those on certain sites when it comes down to looking from proximity from the rough from a certain distance. Now, I think the tournament, rather than being won on off the tee, it's going to be won on approach shots. And the edge, but there's always going to be an edge for longer hitters. Now, on approach shots, golfers will see average to small size greens that are usually narrow in width and lengthy from front to back. High green and regulation numbers usually leads to success here. The putting surface is multi-tiered with a small bit of undulation, nothing crazy. These greens are protected very well with large bunkers and thick rough. Most of the bunkers guard the front of the greens, which makes approach shots tough, especially since most greens slope from back to front. Even though a lot of bunkers are in the front of the greens, most holes leave an opening in the front of the green, so golfers will have a chance to run their approaches up if they hit it in the rough off the tee. Now, when the pin location is near the front of the green, expect a lot of long approaches with fast putts coming down the slope for birdie and par. The greens use Powanua and are very quick, stimulator rating of 13 plus. Tambo, what are you looking for in golf?
Yeah, you broke it down really good. I think a lot of just things you can intertwine with that. Like you talked about the putting, very tough as is. So not necessarily, like you said, Luke List, you talked about him from the rough and whatnot. I mean, he won here. It was him versus Willie Z in a playoff that year. You don't need to be the best putter if you can just put it tight every single time, tee to green in general, all that stuff overall.
Well, and also because everybody struggled with putting.
Right.
I'm saying it sort of evens it out, right? What you think?
100%. Yeah. Degenerate 75, myself, we did a show earlier today, the first look. You can check it out on his YouTube station, Degen 75. But we went through it, and he said sort of similar. And looking at it from that perspective, like if you have, a guy to 3 feet here, you can think you're good. Usually you just say, oh, that's a tap in par, and you're good. And then you look back, and your guy made bogey, and you're like, what the hell happened? Because it is tougher. So anything can happen on these greens, like you mentioned. And then just again, we're quick turnaround time, but the short notice, like we have, weather that's in play here. It looks like it just rained a ton coming in, so we're going to see that. Maybe there's an advantage there with wind. Playing the different courses, I bring this tip up every single year. It's another Tambo's tidbit, if you will, of the South and the North course. We know the North is much easier. What ends up happening with that being said is a lot of people just assume, let me play all my guys on the North course, get a good score, and then they can just coast through and make the cut on the South course. But I've seen it work plenty of times the other way, where guys battle and grind on Thursday through the South course, feel pretty good that it can't get much worse than this, and then go out on the second day and have themselves a really good day on the North course, feeling pretty good, and they end up making the cut, while some of those ones that start out strong can then have struggles on Friday. So keep an eye on that. Again, maybe there's other weather, wind, angles, things that you can go off of, but for now, that, and then lastly, course history, pretty sticky. Overall, when you look at it, we talk about this week in, week out, use the same term with the stickiness of it, but it is definitely a course where you see the same guys in and out.
I think it's like 15th stickiest course history out of 45 courses. So in the top three and third. So definitely true. Now, I did have one other tidbit for an angle for betting. This is actually for last year from @AidOn7X. He's a great follow on Twitter if you don't. But last year, he pointed this out to me. He says, don't bet anything until tee times are out. Which is too late for me. I already made my bets. But I didn't listen to this. But maybe you will listen to this. Don't bet anything until tee times are out. Then only bet North Course starters pre-tourney. And then wait to bet the South Course starters after round one. Because a lot of the times those South Course starters are going to, you shoot even par on that course. You're gaining strokes on the feet, right? But you're going to have somebody shooting, a bunch of guys shooting 9, 8, 7, 6 under. And you could be 8, 7, 9 strokes back in 43rd place, even though you gained strokes on the field at South playing on the first day. So you wait, and then you go ahead and make those live bets after day one for the guys that are playing the South course, because hopefully you get some better numbers than what you see right now. Because, I mean, the top of the board is really, really tight when it comes to these numbers. Maybe you can get a little bit more spread out and be able to get some better numbers once this happened. Now, I tried using this last year, and I only found books are pretty smart. They're not fucking idiots. But I did find like 1 or 2 bets where this took place, where I felt comfortable betting a number that I thought was very, very value-oriented for a guy that just, was even par 1 under on the South course with 6, 7 strokes behind the leaders.
Yeah.
So anything else, Tambo, before we move on?
Good to go.
All right, so let's get to these tiers. We're going to go ahead and start. Of course, we got Xander all the way down to Sungjae. Is that how we're going?
Yeah. Well, I guess Sungjae's 99. You could lump him into it, but the 9K range is pretty interesting in itself, and there's only 6 guys in there. So let's just do those top 4.
All right. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to roll with it. Sorry, go ahead.
So my first cascade cornerstone is going to be Morikawa. I mean, Morikawa or Homa. I got no problem. You could use either one of those in cash. I have no issue. I just think Kawa's on the verge of another win. He's been playing really good. A bunch of top 10 finishes here recently. In the fall, he won in the Zozo. He's been playing excellent golf. I think the way he hits his irons and, of course, how accurate he is off the tee is going to really, really help him. I'm a big fan of Morikawa this week. I'm going to bet him at 11-1. Don't normally go down that low, but I am this week. I'm going to bet him 11-1. First cash game cornerstone. I got no problem with using Homa also, but I'm going with Kawa instead. I almost tried to go Kawa Homa, but there's enough value in that 8K range and that high 7K range where you don't really have to go into that superstars and scrubs type deal when it comes to cash this week. So Kawa is my favorite cash play. When it comes to Xander and Cantlay, I'm going to play one. I would expect Xander to be a lot more owned.
Yeah.
I could go for Cantlay this week. I think I can go for Cantlay this week. What are you going with?
Yeah, zigzag effect. Last week, everyone was going with Cantlay. We saw our Lister League winner and others that went to Xander get paid off. He ended up scoring more points than Bez. I know he cost a lot more too, but just to say he finished more points than Bez while finishing in third. So, the guy can put up points in a hurry. Definitely think he's going to be more owned here. I talked about earlier today. I don't mind Cantlay anyway. I like Cantlay for a course like this. Just go around. I mean, if you go back and look, haven't really seen him do much lately. Haven't seen him do much here. But if it's going to be a leverage play in tournaments, there's no secret that Kawa and Homa, the Cali guys, they're all Cali guys up top here. Xander, Cantlay, they're all going to be in the same mix. So for me, I'm fine with just going to Cantlay. I actually kind of like those two at the top, and I am going to look to see some builds where I go double stud this week. So something like a Xander, Cantlay, if a lot of the field is on Xander, Kawa, and Max, and a mix between those three, that's how you could switch it up some, or you could just start with Cantlay and then drop down. But I think there's, a point I want to bring up quickly. There's 43 guys in the 7Ks. There's 89 guys in the 6Ks. You can just scrape off a ton of those and get, spread out up top and just take your stands down low. Because down low, when you get there, you'll see it. Even though there's all those guys, there's not a ton that I love, at least. Like you said, 9K and up. There, there's all those ranges. And I think it was Mayo that posted in his newsletter of 4 of the last 5 years, something like 4 of the top 10 finishers came from 8,300 and up. So again, doesn't mean it carries over year to year on the pricing, but it means they've about got it right. You're going to see a lot of the top guys. The cream will rise to the top at a course like this with a cut. Very tough. People compare it to all different places. Genesis is one. Others go to the Memorial. People talk about Augusta. People talk about all kinds of courses in relation to this one. I don't necessarily see them all, but just saying in that perspective, I do expect to see the cream rise to the top here. And then that would be why you'd want to go with some of these double stud builds or even 3 guys from above 8,900 or something like that. 3 9K guys, something along those lines to get different this week.
Yeah, let's go to this 9K range. I really want to play Ludwig, right? I mean, I feel like this course should really suit him off the tee, right? He hits it long and he's super accurate. I mean, you can't really get much better than that. And of course, his stroke gain approach numbers, not that great, but you got to think about how stroke gain approach works, right? He hits it so far, and he hits it, in the middle of the fairway, that he's hitting clubs that most people aren't going to hit on certain holes. So say he has a 450-yard par 4 that he's hitting, okay? And he hits his drive 360, all right? Right down the middle. And he has a 90-yard club. No one else is going to use a 90-yard club on that 450-yard par 4, right? And so, that's why if they do, I mean, if he hits it to, say the median from 90 feet is 12 feet. Let's say that's the average. And he hits it to 15. He's going to lose a quarter of a stroke right there. Only 3 feet off. You know what I'm saying? Because he's hitting a lot of these short irons onto these fairways onto these greens, and that's going to skew his approach numbers when it comes down to it. Because what strokes gain approach is when everyone hits it from this place, for what's the median, and then when you hit it, how far to the closer or farther away are you from the median, and that's how you get your strokes gain. So say it's 12 feet on a 90 yard lob wedge, and he hits it to 15, he's losing 0.25 strokes on his approach right there. But he's only 15 feet away. He's got a pretty damn good birdie shot, right? You know what I'm saying? So you got to, when it comes to guys who hit it this far off the tee, and you use short irons so much more than other golfers, it's going to skew their approach numbers unless they're like the best wedge players in the world. And if you can hit it 360 and is one of the best wedge players in the world, you're going to win a lot of tournaments, basically, especially nowadays on the PGA Tour. So I really want to use Oberg, but again, Paul Greens, like you got to sort of know how to putt on these greens. I don't see him as like a California guy, right? He goes to school in the Midwest, right? And he's from like Europe. So like, how often does he get to practice and play on these Polo greens? I'm still going to use them. In the beginning of my thought process, I was thinking with that price, he was going to be my highest on. He might still be, because the way he drives the golf ball should really, really fit this course. And he'll have a lot shorter irons onto these greens than most people are going to have. So I'm still deciding how much I'm going to go on Oberg, but I do like him a lot. My second cash game cornerstone is going to be Jason Day. This is probably the first time I've ever used Jason Day as one of my cash game cornerstones. It was hard because I thought about Oberg. I thought about Finau. I think they're both hash worthy. I think Keegan hash worthy also. But I went with Jason Day. I think he's had 7 top 10s and 11 appearances here. The course history is there. Last week, on a course where he's one of the worst putters on that type of grass that they played last week. And, he did fine. He was like 29th, 30th, something like that. Did okay at the Century. I like the way it doesn't look like he's worried about injury. So he's just going out there playing his best golf. And I think the way he's played this course before, also, you got to love the fact of how high he hits the ball in the air. It's going to be a big deal when you're hitting those long irons. You want that nice soft bounce, and he can still get that done from the rough as well. So I like Jason Day as my second cash game cornerstone. Tamba, who do you love?
Yeah, the other loaded range. I think the interesting part, though, is what you said. Like Ludwig and Minwoo seem to be two guys that are pretty common. I bet Minwoo to start the day this morning at 28-1. It's dropped a little since then. I just didn't hate that number for the most part. I did have that note, the same one you had, about Adon 7X. Really good, sharp dude. Always throwing stuff out there when he can. Appreciated. Like, that's the type of stuff you're looking for, and that was one of the things about this event. So I didn't throw a lot of bets out there this week. That was the one that I hit, and that's what I got so far. But just to note it, like Sungjae, Day, Finau, Eric Cole. I mean, Eric Cole had a bad week last week, and it's a 21st place with really a rough Sunday. A 72 that cost him all 4 under 70 points, that cost him some birdies and stuff down the stretch, things that he could have made where could have been an even bigger DraftKings score than what you would have saw like for his position, for his ranking on the board. So
that 72 on Sunday worried me, though. Like, it worries me enough to like maybe not even play him this week. Because, the thing about him is he's played all the events so far this year, but he also played like mini tour events every week in December.
Yeah.
Like you saw, and the guy plays a lot of fucking golf.
He's been fine though. I think
so too. I could just be trying to find a reason not to play him because I don't have him in my cash lineup. And I said yesterday on Twitter, just go ahead and put him in your cash lineup every single week. I couldn't do it this week just because of the pricing and the golfers that I wanted. And I don't want to delve too much into that 6K range. There's a couple of guys in the 6K range. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want to delve too deep into it.
Might be sticker shock at 9K, but again, the other thing too about guys on Sunday, which we'll get to when we get down to Keith Mitchell. I mentioned this earlier today on the first look too, but like Keith Mitchell just fired at pins on Sunday, and it happened to work out because he had nothing to lose and everything to gain. It's a crazy tournament. It's whatever. you're way down the board, just fire away, and it worked out.
I mean, we're a little ways away. Are you playing Keith Mitchell this week with 4 straight missed cuts at Torrey?
I'm not super interested in him, no, but I'm bringing up the point in inverse of it is Eric Cole is 9K, and if that 72 worried people or whatever, then that's fine. But he also really had nothing to lose. Like, it just didn't work out on Sunday. He shot a 72, so I'll be fine going back to him. But of the 9K range, like Sungjae, Day, Finau, Cole, some of the guys I'm looking at.
Well, the reason why I'm not playing Cole as of now is because I like Finau, Day, Oberg, and then I really like Keegan, Theegala, Giuseppe, and Hideki. I mean, those guys. So I can't play everybody. Theegala, Keegan, runner-up last time out, runner-up last time here. You know what I'm saying? Really good course history. His ball striking over his career should scream to do well on this course, and it has. And you know what the crazy thing is? In the last 50 rounds on POA, and again, you got to worry a little bit about the POA stats when you look into whatever model you have, because this is the only course with true POA new. This is the only one. This is the only course on tour with true POA new. Everything else is a blend. So looking at POA stats for putting can be, you could be a little off when it doesn't. But Keegan's like 17th in stroke gained putting in the last 50 rounds on POA in this field. It's pretty impressive stuff for a guy who's like normally known as the worst putter known to man. So it's another reason to think of him. And I think cash would be fine for Keegan. I decided to go a little bit less, and I went Decky for cash. He looks healthy. You don't have to worry about it. I think his floor is fine. The guy makes every single cut. And I think he has the upside to win. And at $8,500, to have that upside, that I think, you can win this event. I mean, last year wasn't playing great. He finished top 10. And so I really like him as my third cash game cornerstone. Again, long iron play is super important here. And of course, his long iron's very, very excellent. The worry, of course, is sporadic driving, but everybody misses the fairways here. So hopefully it doesn't break. Hopefully it breaks more in his favor when it comes down to it. And he gets the good breaks in the rough and stuff like that. We get to Kikuyu, you can get that nice teed up ball on the rough, and it's basically perfect. Or it can sink to the bottom and you got to chomp out. A lot of it has to do with luck. But I'm a big fan of him. I like Theegala. Again, the California connection with the Pepperdine, knows these types of greens. I'm a fan of him. And Giuseppe just seems like he's always mispriced. Like, the guy's like 16 in the world, right? He's like the 16th best player in the world. He's got like 2 or 3 wins in the last like 13 months. I got no problem with throwing him in GPPs. He can't be popular. Do you think Giuseppe's going to be popular, Straka?
Makes it tough to imagine when you've got other guys around.
When you got all those guys around him, I think Straka is the leverage play for all those golfers around them that are going to be popular. Oh, and I love Justin Rose. I love this 8K range. That's why I think I'm only going to be playing like 5 or I'm probably playing like 6 guys in the 9K and up range. I usually play 7 to 8. I think I'm only going to play 6, so I can afford to go am on this 8K range because I really like Justin Rose. I really like Decky's my cash lineup. I really like Theegala. I really like Giuseppe. I really like Keegan. I'm going to play Willie Z this week. Are you playing Willie Z?
Yeah, I don't mind him. I'll see how popular he gets. So I don't love that if he gets extremely popular just because he finished second here in the playoff, the Luke list and all that.
I think the big thing was he looked decent last week. Him and Berger looked like you don't really have to worry about them. I know his swing, Zalatoris especially, his swing is not what it used to be, but I don't think it can be like that anymore because of the problems with his back. So he's made adjustments, and it looks like they're okay. It doesn't look like he's in that much pain. Of course, the speed is down, but usually when you bring the speed down, the accuracy goes up. So we'll see how it plays out after a few more rounds that he plays. Who do you like in this range?
Yeah, we got a lot more golfers to get to, so I'm going to go pretty quick because we're on a lot of the same here. But Keegan, Theegala, Hideki, Rose, and then maybe Zalatoris. Maybe take a shot on Moronk, actually, if Zalatoris gets popular just because he's been playing so good overseas, maybe just brings that over. I don't love the travel aspect, but really it's golf. Who cares? Flying private, whatever it might be, or just quickly getting over here. I'm not too concerned when he's got all week to get ready for it. So probably those 4 or 5 guys are the ones I've got the most interest in right now. And I'll take us in to the upper 7K range, because that's the thing. There's 43 guys in this range, but with Dunlap going out, there's actually only 12 guys, 7,500 and up. So a lot of them are in that lower range. But, go into some of these guys here. Luke List, Steven Yeager, who you talked about, Svensson, and maybe some Bo Hostler. Those are the guys that stood out to me at first here, Kenny. So what are you doing in this upper 7K range? And then you can take us into those lower sevens as well.
I'm going to use Yeager. The thing about Yeager, he's, again, long irons, really, really strong, can drive the ball really well. It seems like he should fit this course no problem. So I do like Yeager. I think he's top 20 in strokes gained putting on POA. Take that for what it's worth, once again. But I do like Yeager a lot. I like Svensson, like you said. What about Rio Hisatune? The guy's been playing good golf. Like, do you think, not many people talk about him. Not many people know who he is. Do you think you can get value on him, like, week in and week out? Because the guy seems like he's a pretty fucking good player.
Yeah, it could be a great value. I don't mind him for tournaments. I didn't see him there at 75 on the dot. I was looking at him down. I thought he was 74, but him and one guy I forgot to mention too, Patrick
Ryan
Rogers.
Fox. Oh,
Patrick Rogers. We got to talk about him. A little Cali connection at some point, right? So
definitely.
7,700. Everyone loves to hate him at least, but he has been playing better golf. 16th, 14th, 24th. He's had some good results in this course.
I'm almost 100% sure Martin, Sundog Monkey, probably bet him. Sundog Monkey loves his ass.
We'll see. Yeah,
Sundog Monkey loves Patrick Rogers' ass right there. There's no doubt about that. I like Ryan Fox. The guy can just pummel the ball. Really good at long par fours. I think like 7 or 8. 7 of the par fours at South Course are 450 to 500. He's like second in the field in par four efficiency from 450 to 500 yards the last 50 rounds. I really like him. Let's move on to this bottom range. I'll go with my final cash game cornerstone. It's going to be Smalley at 7,200. Again, top 20 in this field, last 50 rounds, both in 175 to 1 to 200 and 200 plus. You got to have good long iron play here. And he does. He's top 20 in both, made both of his cuts here that he's played, has made his cut last week. I like him a lot. His putting sucks, but again, you can get away with that here because putting's hard. Everyone's going to struggle. He's also top 10 in strokes gained approach. Last 50 rounds in this field. Cash game cornerstones for me this week are going to be Colin Morikawa at 10,200. Jason Day, 9,500. Hideki Matsuyama, 8,500. And Smalley at 7,200. That leaves you like 14.6, 14.7 to fill out the rest of your lineup. Other guys I do like in this bottom range, Michael Kim. Again, another sneaky good guy at long irons. Really good play the last 4, 5, 6 months. And last week, played his ass off. Taylor Pendrith. I feel like this course should really fit him the way he is off the tee, how he can pound it, and how good he is with his long irons. Top 10 in both 175 to 200 and 200 plus last 50 rounds. Tambo, who do you like?
Bottom seven's not as many as you, but a couple guys there. Like I guess back to the well, Adam Schenk was one guy last week, hurt some people. Again, a lot of guys missed the cut on the number last week, which was interesting. But some of these guys, 7,200 range, like Sam Ryder, Davis Thompson, Justin Suh. I think people will chase Kevin Yu. He was another guy firing away at pins on Sunday. Sometimes it goes your way. I prefer him in a birdie fest. So if people are chasing it, that'd be great. Some of the other guys down here.
I like Suh.
Yeah, so I like instead at the same price. I don't mind.
Eckroat. What do you think of
Eckroat, Sam Stevens, Ben Coles, and maybe go back to the well on some of these guys, but not too many guys down here. Matt Wallace was another one I could see grinding it out here. So I think there's some guys there. Sam Stevens was one at 7,000 even. I just mentioned.
I want to play. What about Gary? What do you think?
Yeah, I got him on the list right now. He does look good.
So that's the craziest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. His brain problem. Like, everyone knows he had brain surgery and he missed it. If you guys hadn't heard about what happened, he actually had a lesion on his brain, on the fear and anxiety section of his brain. And so it caused him to think that he was going to die 24/7. Like his big fear is dying, right? And so that lesion was on the fear center of his brain. So every day he would wake up and he would think he was going to die. Like for 6, 7, 8 months, he thought he was going to die at all times. Like, that's insane. I can't believe, and he played golf. He played because he said like he wouldn't think about death when he was on the golf course. That's crazy. I'm rooting for his ass because that is, I can't imagine living like that. Like your worst fear imaginable personified every day over and over, and it over exaggerated every day. I can't believe he went through that. It's amazing. He came back as soon as he did, and I hope to God he's fine. Let's move on to the 6K range. I like the guy in the 6,800, the 6,800 crew. Joseph Bramlett, one of the best from the rough, from 150 and out. I really like Lanto. Again, long iron specialist. Really good course history here. Those are two of my favorites. I think they could both go in cash as well. So, you know, with my forecast hit cornerstones, maybe I use one of these guys. And I did say, you know, a liquor drink that I like up in the 7K range that I might use as well. But I like those two guys a lot. Franco Molinari, 5th place at the race in Dubai about 3-4 weeks ago on the DP World Tour. A little Molinari sighting. I can get behind him at that price. Robbie Shelton, 6,600. Good course history here. Game suits this place. Tambo, who do you like?
I have a few down here, actually. Bramlett, who you brought up earlier. Bobby Mack, just based on talent that we talked about. Matty Schmid was the guy people were playing last week. I don't mind him. Couple others down here. There was one more. Who was it? Goddard. We talked about him. Degen 75 brought him up earlier today. If you want a guy just can bomb it out there, it's going to be risky, but the upside of if he does get through and make the cut. And then what was the other guy? There was one more dude down here. Oh, Buckley, 6,200, has done nothing. This is, again, just based on, if you looked at like last season, you'd wonder, why would this guy be 6,200? I know lately you haven't done much, but at 6,200, I've played worse. You could take a shot on him down here. But again, I mentioned earlier, 89 guys in the 6K range. If you pick 3, let's just say, even if, you don't have to pick a specific number. That's something I never do. I'm just giving the example so people understand like a player pool composition. If you pick 3 and take a stand, you're 1, going to get leverage, and 2, be able to fit guys up top and allow for a bunch more guys to mix into your pool in that 8K and above range where we love all those dudes. So as long as you don't get crazy down here and try and say, oh, a little piece of this guy, a little piece of that guy. Oh, but I heard this one thing about this dude. When you do that, that's what screws everything up, because now you've got dead lineups everywhere, no leverage on the guys at the top. If you do, you might only have one lineup of a guy that's really good up there that you needed more of. Like, that's what messes everything up. So I just wouldn't get too crazy in the 6K range this week. Not a ton of guys down there that I like.
Bets. You said you had one. Who you got?
I got Minwoo at 28. And then we'll see. I might put some more in tonight. If I do, they'll be over at Chip It Nation. But I'm just looking for some of those guys that you said that maybe if you want to bet them on the North, get to a hot start and see what happens. If not, like he says, Adon 7X, again on X, he's a good dude. Just go back and wait to see who you can get a number on after a rough round on the South, or a decent round, but just behind the 8 ball from the rest of the guys.
I got Morikawa 11-1, straight up. I got Hideki 45-1 with 5 places, and I got Smalley 90-1 with 8 places. One and done for me, probably going to be Jason Day.
I got Sungjae is who I'm going with.
All right. Sounds good. Anything else we need to talk about?
No, I think we're good, my man. We got a quick turnaround this week, so we'll get this thing out as quickly as possible. Everybody who's getting, remember to leave in the comments your winner. But I know a lot of people did last week. They listed the winner and forgot to you need to put your DK screen name as well, so that if you get it right and we pick you, we can send you the invite. So far, so good.
I mean, you don't have to put the DK name. I just won't pick you.
Right.
Basically, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
All right, so you can find me on Twitter at KendoVT. You can find on X at KendoVT. You can find my articles on gupscorner.com. Use promo code Kenny. Save yourself 30% on a sub to Gups Corner. They redid a lot of the green screen and the tools for the PGA. It's really sick. The interface looks really, really sharp, really easy to use. You should go check it out. There's a video on my timeline. I pinned it to my timeline. Go check out the video and see how easy the tools are to use. If you're interested, go check us out for a week, a month, a year, whatever you like. Great value, probably one of the best values you can find when it comes to these types of PGA sites. And the thing is, it's not just PGA. A sub includes every single sport that is involved with Gup's Corner. So make sure you check it out.
Yeah, you can find me at ShipItNation.com. I mentioned earlier, the easiest thing to remind you right now, it's a golf show. We'll just talk about that quickly. The introductory pricing. There's places charging $60 a month, $80 a month, $500 for the season, whatever you're looking at, $600 for the season. It is $34 a month. If you use the code Mayo, you get 10% off that. It's $199 for the entire season of PGA. You use the code Mayo, you get 10% off that. $179. It works out to like $5 per event. And you can use these codes on All Access if you want other sports. But for golf only, it's the best deal going. The Course Fit rankings have been off the chain. Our guy Lee Aldrich over there just crushed. He won the Minimax with them this week himself. I had a good week, but you can go on X at ShipItNation, check that out there and see the breakdown of all the members that won 5,000, 6,000, 3,000. There's no guarantees when you join a site you're going to win, but the tools, projections, the rankings, all the stuff to help you guys out in the Discord community is a great place to get started, to work on your game, to hope that is you next up in the winner's circle. So excited for that. Go to ShipItNation.com. Use promo code Mayo.
Hey, one thing I forgot. I did hit, what's his name? Who won here last year? Homa last year. I had List the year before. So we're going for 3 in a row here at Torrey. So let's see what we can do. And let's win some motherfucking money. DJ Nation.
I've been getting dirty money,